So we are currently in week 12, and the title for this week is Show Me the Money, and it has to do with chapter 9 that is titled Money in Your Textbook. The learning objectives for this week is by the end of this chapter, students will be able to identify your relationship with money, learn concepts and skills related to wise money management. You'll explore how to make positive financial decisions and how to monitor your personal finances. You'll also learn how to create budgets and take advantage of higher education loans and credit cards. You will look for ways to spend less and save more. You'll identify opportunities to earn more. You'll be able to adapt your lifestyle based on the realities of your situation. You're going to learn to read and understand loan documents, credit card statements, and payment terms. And finally, monitor your finances, create a budget, and make smart daily financial decisions. So the assignments for the week are to read chapter 9. Here is the link. To attend class and to watch the pre-recorded lecture, which will be under here. I'm recording the pre-recorded lecture now. This is the quiz for this week. This is the PowerPoint for this week. And this is the assignment for this week that is titled Financial Literacy. Depending on which class you are, it would be the due date. Remember to look at the due dates next to the assignments, and that's when they're due. For this assignment, you're going to watch the following video. Here is the link. And after you finish watching the video, you're going to write a summary about what you learned from this video and how you will use some of the advice given. It needs to be 150 words minimum, and this assignment is worth 100 points. And here is the link where you're going to turn it in. So let's get started on the PowerPoint. So this is a PowerPoint from another textbook, but it still works, and we're still talking about financial literacy. It's a lot of the same topics. So let's get started. So managing your money. To explore who you are as a money manager, identify spending and saving habits, and consider what you want versus what you need. Learn a budgeting strategy and explore how to increase income through work and financial aid. So there are key topics for this chapter. They are financial literacy, which is money management. There's budgeting, which is setting financial goals. There's work and financial aid. There's credit use. And finally, planning for a solid financial future. To examine money attitudes and behaviors. So first you need to look at your needs versus wants, plus how you perceive and use money, equals to who you are as a money manager. So create and use a budget. For number one, you need to figure out what you earn, which is the money in. Then you need to figure out what you spend, which is the money out. And then analyze the difference between earnings and expenditures. And then four is come up with creative ideas about how to make changes. And finally, take practical action to adjust spending or earning. So for example, figure out what you earn money in. Could be if you have a part-time job, or it could be financial aid money. And then you need to figure out what you spend. That could be from tuition to books to your cell phone to internet to all the expenditures that you have, anything that you spend your money on. Then analyze the difference between earning and expenditures. That means that you would, subtract what you make, subtract what you spend. So if I made $2,000 a month and I spent $1,500 a month on expenditures, that means that I'm left with $500. So that's basically what you need to do to analyze between the earnings and expenditures. And then come up with the creative ideas about how you make changes. This is, if you need to make changes, if you're spending more money than what you make, if you're finding yourself using your credit card rather than your cash. These are just, creative ideas that you need to come up with yourself so that you can budget responsibly. So ways to control spending. Set up automatic bill payments. Comparison shop. Use your student ID whenever possible. And look for day-to-day ways to save. So these are just tips on how to control your spending. Comparison shop is kind of self-explanatory, so is automatic bill payments. But comparison shop would be like if you're looking for a new computer for school, is to look what Apple charges, what Best Buy charges, what wherever they sell computers, Amazon, all these different places, and compare. You found the computer that you want, and now you need to start comparing the prices and hopefully find the cheapest one. Student ID is self-explanatory. For example, when you go to the movies, they offer student ID. If you have your student ID, they offer um, a percentage off, a rate that's cheaper than the average ticket, and then look for day-to-day ways to save money. This could be in your day-to-day activities, whether instead of taking an Uber, taking a bus. Instead of taking a bus, maybe riding your bike if it's a short distance, stuff like that. So consider what you need from a job. These are the things that you need to consider. The amount of money that you're going to be making, the particular time of day, is it going to be full-time or part-time, the type of experience that you're going to need, the flexibility the job has, and whether it's work study or other on-campus work. So working while in school, there's a pros and cons. So some pros are to gain it, you'll gain experience, you'll develop contacts, which is good for networking in the future. You'll develop focus and motivation, and of course, you're going to earn money. As far as the cons, you're going to have less time to study. You're also going to have less time for activities. Must be able to shift gears from work to class, and possibly fatigue from stress and just being worn out from going to work and school at the same time. So what financial aid is available? There's three types of aids. There's loans, which you have to pay back. There's grants that you don't have to pay back. And then there's scholarships that you don't have to pay back. So take action and look for aid. There's various ways to look for financial aid. So the first thing you want to do is ask about possible aid. And you can get this information from the financial aid office or possibly a school, the university website. Seek government aid. So fill out the FAFSA form and try the FAFSA forecaster. To get financial aid, the first thing that you need to do, every student, is to fill out the FAFSA form, which is the government form. Then seek private aid. There's scholarship search sites, there's books that list scholarships and grants, and there's also private organizations. And then consider a range of options: transferring to a less expensive school, and adjusting academic time frame to accommodate a job. So you may be thinking that you want to go to school full time, but you realize that you can't because you have to work at the same time, and you're not going to have time to work and go to school full time. So then, the fact that you have no other choice and you have to work to help sustain yourself, you may want to think about going to school part time. That would be adjusting academic time frame. So ways how to apply for aid. So apply on time, or better yet, early. Know what you need, whether it's FAFSA, CSS, financial aid profile. Note whether it is merit-based or need-based aid. Be aware of all college costs. And when you receive funds, spend on needs rather than wants. So think critically about aid and ask questions. Where you get your money, how much money you receive, the terms of your loan, and consequences of loan default. So these are all the things that you need to think critically about when you apply for financial aid, how you're going to get your money, whether it's the loan or scholarship or a grant. If you can't get a grant or a scholarship and you have to go 100% on loans, these are the things that you got to think about: the terms of your loan, the consequences if you default on your loan, how much money you're going to receive. Is it enough for both tuition and books, and help if you're not going to have a job? Is it going to help you live as well? So these are all things that you need to think about when you're getting financial aid. There's some students that live at home and don't have to worry about rent or anything like that, and their parents help them. So all they need to worry about is basically tuition and books, and that's what they would get money for. But then there are students who don't live with their parents and need living expenses, and these are things that you need to take into consideration. So if you lived in Miami And let's say you had a roommate, you would start thinking about what you need for rent, what you need for food a month, what you need for all the bills that you have, to help so that you have enough financial aid to pay for all these things. So credit cards. To charge means to create a debt that must be repaid. So keep in mind that credit card companies are in the business to make money off a card owner. Okay, so the pros and cons of credit cards. The pros: you can build your credit history, which, as many of you may know, having a credit history is important. It can be helpful alternative to cash, and some cards offer reward programs. So yeah, there's some credit cards that you'll get like 5% back from your purchases, so it may be smart to use those credit cards. That way you make money off the money you're spending. Cons is it's easy to overspend. We can all get carried away. God knows when I was young, there was a couple of times that I got carried away because it's money, not really actual money coming out. It's not money coming out of my bank account. But so it is very easy to overspend. Credit card debt brings interest cost as well, so you have interest payments, and misuse can lead to low credit rating. So though one of the pros is that you can build credit history, if you don't spend wisely, it can lead to a low credit rating, which then you have a negative credit history. So credit card challenges. Fees, there's annual or action specific, there's reward program changes, there's universal default clause, there's phishing emails, and there's identity theft. These are all issues with credit cards that people that may have. But I would say that young people, the biggest challenge is trying to not overspend on their credit card. So how to manage credit card debt? First, you need to choose your card wisely. Make sure that the interest rate is as low as possible. Some credit cards have high interest rates, so make sure that the card that you choose has the lowest interest rate that's available to you. Before charging, ask yourself, can I pay for this at the end of the billing cycle? Would I pay cash for, or should I be paying cash for this? Uh, Pays bills regularly on time. So you can link like one of the advice given was to do automatic payment. So you can uh, have your bills linked to this credit card for automatic payment. So which will help you pay your bills regular and on time. And then also you would need to pay this credit card and bill regular on time. If you get into trouble, set up a payment plan with the company. Shred cards when you close accounts. Stay aware of credit score and keep an eye on credit history through credit bureaus like Experian. So planning for a stable financial future. Putting your money to work. So it's good to have a savings account and also think about having CDs and money market accounts. And saving for retirement, if you can, bills come first. You can do a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. These are IRAs are special savings account where you need to deposit a specific amount every year. But in the end, when it's time to retire, these accounts can have a lot of money depending how young you start saving. So I want to go to the textbook now. Just to go into deeper into the topic. So like every week, there's an introduction to a power process, and this is risk being a fool. So a master student has the courage to take risks. And taking risks means being willing to fail sometimes, even being willing to be a fool. This idea can work for you because you already are a fool. Now don't be upset, all of us are fools at one time or another. There are no exceptions. If you doubt it, think back to that stupid thing you did just a few days ago. You know the one. Yes, that one. It was embarrassing and you tried to hide it. You pretended that you weren't a fool. This happens to everyone. We're all fallible human beings. Most of us, however, spend too much time and energy trying to hide our foolishness. No one is really tricked by this, not even ourselves. It's okay to look ridiculous while dancing. It's all right to sound silly when singing to your kids. Sometimes it's okay to be absurd. It comes with taking risks. This power process comes with a warning label. Taking risks does not mean escaping responsibility for our actions. Risk being a fool is not a suggestion to get drunk at a party and make a fool of yourself. It is not a suggestion to fool around or do things badly. Mediocrity it is not the goal. The point is that mastery is most activities calls for the willingness to do something new, to fail, to make corrections, to fail again, and so on. Take money for example. This chapter asks you to consider an outrageous idea that you can end money worries. If you share this idea with your friends, you might think you've fallen for some get rich quick scheme. Someone might even call you a fool. If you're okay with those reactions, then nobody's criticism will stop you. Criticism will stop you. You are free to explore any idea and even make a few mistakes. In the process, you can learn something that changes your whole experience of money. Risk being a fool means that foolishness, along with courage, cowardice, grace, and clumsiness, is a human characteristic. We all share it. You might as well risk being a fool because you already are one, and nothing in the world can change that. Why not enjoy it once in a while? There's one surefire way to avoid any risk of being a fool, and that's to avoid life. The writer who never finishes a book will never have to worry about getting negative reviews. The center fielder who sits out every game is safe from making any errors. And the comedian who never performs in front of an audience is certain to avoid telling jokes that fall flat. The possibility of succeeding at any venture increases when we're comfortable with making mistakes, and that is with the risk of being a fool. So, to end of money worries. The solution is also simple. Don't spend more than you have. If you are spending more than you have, then increase your income, decrease your spending, or do both. This idea has never won a Nobel Prize in economics, but you won't go broke applying it to your life. Money procedures Money produces more unnecessary conflict and worry than almost anything else. And it doesn't seem to matter how much money a person has. People who earn $10,000 a year have enough, never have enough. People who earn $100,000 a year might also say that they never have enough. Let's say they earned $1 million a year. Then they'd have enough, right? Well, not necessarily. Money worries can upset people no matter how much they have, especially when the economy dips into recession. So I'm sure most of you have heard the saying, "More money, more problems." This is something like that. It's people making 10,000 will say they never have enough, and people saying they make $1 million, well, they're not making enough, and that's because of the spending habits, whether it's responsible or not responsible. Um, uh, this leads to people saying that they never have enough. So money management may be based on a simple idea, but there is a big incentive for us to make it seem more complicated and scarier than what it really is. If we don't understand money, then we don't have to be responsible for it. After all, if you don't know how to change a flat tire, then you don't have to be the one responsible for fixing it. "I can afford it" is a common reason that students give for dropping out of school. "Actually, I don't know how to pay for it" or "I don't think it's worth it" are probably more accurate ways to state the problem. Using the strategies in this chapter could help you create financial peace of mind. That's a bold statement, perhaps even an outrageous one. But what if it's true? Approach this idea as a possibility, then experiment with it using your own life as the laboratory. This chapter can benefit you even during a recession. Although the state of the overall economy matters as well, your financial fate depends far more on the small choices you make every day about spending and earning money. The strategies you're about to learn are not complicated. In fact, they're not even new. The strategies are all based on the cycle of discovery, intention, and action that you've already practiced with the journal entries in this book. With these strategies and the abilities to add and subtract, you have everything you need to manage your money. There are three main steps in money management. Tell the truth about how much money you have and how much you spend, which is discovery. Commit to live within your means by spending less than you earn, intention. And experiment with suggestions for earning more money, spending less money, or both, which is action. If you do these three things consistently, you can eventually say goodbye to most money worries. So, for example, the single habit of paying off your entire credit card balance each month might be enough to transform your financial life. This chapter is about money does not tell you how to become a millionaire, but you can certainly adopt that as a goal if you choose. Instead, the following pages reveal what many millionaires know: ways to control money instead of letting money control you. So, make more money. There are differences between the psychology involved in spending less and earning more. Reducing expenses is often about saying no to spending, which can feel like self-denial. Earning more allows you to say yes to purchases that align with your values while avoiding financial problems in the future. Among the ways you can make more money are these. So you can get financial aid, you can work at a job while you're in school, you can ask for a raise, you can start a business on the side. You can be a high performer or be a lifetime learner. So here it talks about each one specifically. It is your responsibility to read each one. So there's get financial aid, there's work at a job while you're in school, there's ask for a raise, there's start a business on the side, there's be a high performer, and finally be a lifetime learner. So spend less money. So these are just ways that give you advice on how to spend less money. So look to big ticket items. When you look for places to cut expenses, start with the items that cost the most. Choices about where to live, for example, can save you thousands of dollars. Sometimes a place a little farther from campus or a smaller house or apartment will be much less expensive. You can also keep your housing costs down by finding a roommate. Offer to do repairs or maintenance in exchange for reduced rent, and pay your rent on time and treat property with respect. Another high ticket item is a car. Take the cost of buying or leasing and then add expenses for parking, insurance, repairs, gas, maintenance, and tires. You might find that it makes more sense to walk, bike, or use public transportation, or ride a campus shuttle, or even call for an occasional taxi, or even carpool. Find friends with a car and chip in for gas. So track your expenses to discover the main drains on your finances. Then focus on one or two areas where you can reduce spending while continuing to pay your fixed monthly bills such as rent and tuition. So look at small ticket items. Reducing or eliminating the money you spend on low cost purchases can make the difference between saving money or going into debt. For example, $3 spent at the coffee shop every day adds up to $1,095 a year. That kind of spending can give anyone the jitters. Do comparison shopping. Prices vary dramatically. Shop around. Wait for off-season sales and use coupons. Check out secondhand stores like a thrift stores or garage sales. Before plunking down the full retail price for a new item, consider whether you could buy it used. You can find pre-owned clothes, CDs, furniture, sports equipment, audio equipment, computer hardware in realtor stores and on the internet. And another thing, for examples, is your books. Maybe when you guys go on to other schools that require you to purchase books, you can always buy the books used as well. So ask for student discounts. So like I said earlier in the PowerPoint presentation, sometimes when you use your student ID, you can get discounts on many things. It just takes a question. When you go to the movies, you already know that they offer student discounts with student IDs. But maybe there's a restaurant that you go to that's by campus that may offer student IDs and student discounts with your student ID, but you're not going to know if you don't ask. So, ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. So beware of quality and save money on eating and drinking. Lower your phone bills. Go green. Pay cash instead of a credit card. Postpone purchases. Notice what you spend on fun. Use the envelope system. So after reviewing your monthly income and expenses, put a certain amount of cash each week in an envelope labeled entertainment, eating out. When the envelope is empty, stop spending money on these items for the rest of the week. If you use online banking, see whether you can create separate accounts for various spending categories. Then deposit a fixed amount of money into each of those accounts. This is an electronic version of the envelope system. So don't compete with big spenders. Use the money you save to prepare for emergency and reduce debt, and spend less and feel the power. So managing money through during tough times. The biggest factor in your long-term financial well-being, though, is your daily behavior. Habits that help you survive during tough times will also help you prosper after you graduate and when the economy rebounds. If the economy tanks, we can benefit by telling the truth about it and ourselves. It is one thing to condemn the dishonesty of mortgage brokers or mortgage bankers and hedge fund managers. It is another thing to have an unpaid credit card or wipe out our savings account and still believe that we are in charge of our money. The first step, the first step to changing such behaviors is simply to admit that they don't work. Taking informed action is a way to cut through financial confusion and move beyond fear. Start by collecting the details about what you are spending and earning right now. With that knowledge, you can choose your next strategy from among the following. You can spend less and save more. Make sure that your savings are protected. Pay off your credit cards. Invest only after you've saved. Do stellar work at your current job. Think about your next job. Research unemployment benefits. Get health insurance. Get help that you can trust. And put your plan in writing. And cope with stress in positive ways. And choose your money conversations. So take charge of your credit. On average, families in the United States with debt owe $15,355 on their credit cards. Each year, they pay $6,658 in interest charges alone, about 9% the average household income. When that means interest charges alone means that the $6,000, $6,658 is not even the money that you used. This is interest charges. When faced with high credit card balances and soaring interest rates, some people make late payments or skip them altogether. The result is a poor credit score. A high credit score will serve you for a lifetime. With this asset, you'll be able to borrow money anytime you need it. A low credit score, however, can keep you from getting a car or a house in the future. You might also have to pay higher insurance rates, and you could even be turned down for a job. So yes, believe it or not, some jobs do ask for a credit score, and if it's not a respectable or an okay credit score, you may not even get that job. So take charge of your credit. Borrow money only when truly necessary. If you do borrow, make all of your payments and make them on time. These are all strategies you can use for managing student loans as well as credit cards. So take control of your credit cards. Balance the benefits with the real costs. Pay off the balance each month. Scrutinize credit card offers. Avoid cash advance. Check statements against your records. Use just one credit card. Get a copy of your credit report. Protect your credit score. So manage student loans. Choose schools with costs in mind. Avoid debt when possible. Shop carefully for loans. Repay your loans. Education pays off and you can pay for it. So higher levels of education are associated with the following: a greater likelihood of being employed, a greater likelihood of having health insurance, higher income, higher job satisfaction, higher tax revenues for governments which fund libraries, schools, parks, and other public goods, lower dependence on income support services such as food stamps, and higher involvement in volunteer activities. In short, education is a good deal for you and for society. It is worth investing in it periodically to update your skills, reach your goals, and get more out of what you want in life. Millions of dollars are waiting for people to take part in higher education. The funds flow to students who know how to find them. There are many ways to pay for school. The kind of help you get depends on your financial need. In general, financial need equals the cost of your schooling minus what you can reasonably be expected to pay. A financial aid package includes three major types of assistance. There's money that you don't pay back, which is grants and scholarships. There's money that you do pay back, which is loans. And then there's also work study programs. Many students who get financial aid receive a package that includes of all of the listed elements. To find out more, visit your school's financial aid office on a regular basis. Also go online. Start with student aid on the web, which is right here, the link. Remember to keep applying for financial aid every academic year, even if you don't get any for the previous year. Finding ways to pay for your education allows you to practice many of the skills presented in this text. So, money for the future. Save for an emergency fund. Save for long-term goals. Save for the last decades of your life. Invest carefully. Consider home ownership carefully. Be a wise car shopper. Be careful with contracts. Save on insurance. So on this section, it's use tools to tame your money. And it's basically use technology. You guys know that there's a lot of apps out there um, that can help you out on budgeting your money. I mean, you all guys know the saying, there's an app for that. And there's a bunch of apps for financial literacy and financial management and budgeting and stuff like that. There's a bunch of apps out there. So learn spreadsheet software is another avenue. So create a Microsoft Excel worksheet. You can enter into a chart with rows and columns and then apply various formulas. You can use Excel to create budgets, income reports, expense records, and investment projects. Many organizations use spreadsheets to track their finances. Master this software now and you'll have a marketable skill to add on your resume. To get the current list of Excel commands, go online to here, the supportmicrosoft.com, find the search box, and enter keyword shortcuts Excel. Find out how to apply templates, enter data into a spreadsheet, sort these data, apply formulas, print a spreadsheet, and save your spreadsheets. So many of you should already know. If you don't know, all of us have Excel for free due to the fact that me as a professor at ASA and you guys as students at ASA College. So we have Outlook for free, we have PowerPoint for free, we have Word for free, we have Excel for free. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff there that are offered to us for being part of the ASA family. So if I were you guys, I would take advantage of that. Explore other applications. So like I said earlier before, there's either apps or websites such as Bugsfur and Mint.com. Organize your money files. You probably use notebooks and folders to organize your coursework. Treat your money information with the same level of care. Doing this will help you pay your bills on time and promote financial peace of mind. You can use a paper-based filing system or create money-related folders on a computer. Start with the following folders and then change them to meet your individual needs. So one titled bank statements, another one for bills, another one for financial aid, one for insurance, one for major purchases, one for school, and one's for taxes. You'll probably have some money documents such as records of bills paid and receipts of smaller purchases that don't fit into any given categories. File these documents in folders labeled by month and year. The Internal Revenue Service recommends that you keep these records for 7 years. Automate your personal finances. So think of your checking account as a kind of inbox. It is the point where you first deposit your salary and your self-employment income. From that account, you can transfer money to a savings account, retirement account, and an account for major upcoming expenses such as a new car. Make an appointment with a personal banker to find out how you can make these transfers happen automatically on a specific day each month. Add an option to protect your checking account from overdrafts as well. So protect your money. Guard your private information, including your social security number and bank account numbers. People who steal this information might be able to access your money and even pretend to be you, which is called identity theft. So give your private information only to people and organizations you trust, such as a taxpayer, accountant, or employer you know personally. Delete any emails or text messages that ask you for private information. Share private information online only via a secure website from an organization that you trust. So, for example, if you have a Wells Fargo's bank account and you have the app, that is a secure website that you trust. So, use strong passwords for financial websites and change those passwords at least once per year. Shred any paper-based financial records more than 7 years old, and check your credit card and bank account statements to make sure they include only purchases that you've made. And finally, if you check your statement and see purchases that you did not make, call your bank immediately. In case of major theft, notify the police. So your money, your values. You may not think about the values when you pull out a credit card or put cash on the counter. Even so, your values are at work. So for example, the amount you spend on fast food shows how much you value convenience. The amount you spend on clothes shows how much you value appearance. And the amount you spend on tuition shows how much you value education. Think of any value as having two aspects. One is invisible and the other is visible. The invisible aspect is the belief about what matters most in your life. You can define this belief by naming something you want and asking, why do I want that? Keep asking until you reach a point where the question no longer makes sense. At that point, you'll bump into one of your values. Suppose that you want to start dating. What do you want? Why do you want that? Perhaps you want to find somebody who will really listen to you and also share his or her deepest feelings. Why do you want that? Perhaps because you want to love and be loved. If someone asked why you want that, you might say, I want that because, well, I just want it. At that point, the why question no longer applies. To you, love is an end in itself. You desire love simply for its own sake. Love is one of your values. The visible aspect of any value is a behavior. If you value love, you will take action to meet new people. You'll develop close friendships, you'll look for a spouse or life partner, and build a long-term relationship. These behaviors are visible signs that you value love. We experience peace of mind when our behaviors align with our values. However, this is not always the case. If you ever suspect that there's a conflict between your values and your behavior, then look at your money life for clues. For example, someone says that he values health. After monitoring his expenses, he discovers that he spends $200 last month on fast food. He discovered a clear source of conflict. He can resolve that conflict by redefining his values or changing his behavior. We sometimes work to buy more things that we have no time to enjoy because we work so much. This can be a vicious cycle. Sometimes we live values that are not our own. Values creep into our lives due to peer pressure or advertising. Movies, TV, and magazines pump us full of images about the value of owning more stuff. Bigger houses, bigger cars, better clothes. All that stuff costs a lot of money. The process of acquiring it can drive us into debt and into jobs that pay well but deny our values. So money give us plenty of opportunities for critical thinking. So for example, think about the wisdom of choosing to spend money on the latest video game or digital gadget rather than a textbook or other resource needed for your education. Games and gadgets can deliver many hours of entertainment before they break down. Compare that to the value of doing well in a course, graduating with better grades, and acquiring skills that increase your earning power for the rest of your career. One way to align your behaviors with your beliefs is to ask one question whenever you spend money. Is this expense consistent with my value? Over time, this question can lead to daily changes in your behavior and that make a difference in your peace of mind. Keeping track of your income and expenses allows you to make choices about money with your eyes open. It is all about handling money on purpose and living with integrity. With the financial facts at hand, you can spend and earn money in ways that demonstrate your values. So that ends the pre-recorded lecture for today. You can now go and complete your lecture quiz. Have a good day.